pause right here inside this breath. Let the room be ordinary, a table freckled with sunlight, a clock that forgets to hurry, the hush that arrives when you finally stop pretending you're finished. Ask without flinching, what if the truest version of me has not yet had its turn to live? The world will point to calendars and say you're past your peak. Gray at the temple, slower to rise, your name called less often in crowded rooms. But the Dharma smiles at such arithmetic. In the Buddha's vision, a self is not a statue. It is weather moving, dissolving, returning as rain in another season. The river of you has not run dry. It has simply found deeper channels. There's a quiet authority that visits in these later chapters. It doesn't make speeches or collect applause. It arrives when the phone stops demanding, when the mind, tired of performance, sets its armor down. In that clearing, a whisper becomes audible. You still hold the pen. You can still write from the heart's ink. In younger years, we lived like emergency responders to our own story. This burned, so I covered it. That door slammed, so I learned to sleep beside it. Someone left, so I taught my pulse to pace the empty hallway. We adapt. We survive. In the scramble, we forget that we were born artists of our own becoming, not custodians of damage. A teaching from the Dhammapada points quietly to the hinge. With our thoughts, we make the world, easy to nod at, difficult to inhabit. But look closely, and you'll see the house you call my life bears your fingerprints, your daily choices as bricks, your private beliefs as mortar. Storms, yes, arrive without asking. Authorship begins in how we meet the weather. Let me tell you a story, new but old in its marrow. Raphael carried letters for 38 years, walking the same avenues until even the sparrows seemed to know his timetable. When retirement came, he told everyone he wanted only silence. He moved his chair to the window and practiced stillness the way someone practices a foreign language, awkward consonants, long pauses. But the quiet did not behave. It kept asking questions. One afternoon, as rain rinsed the street, he wandered into a small studio where a nun in soft gray robes taught beginners ceramics. She placed a lump of clay in his palm and said, "Where will you place your hands when a new life needs shaping?" The question startled him. He had planned to pass his days watching seasons, not molding them. Still, he stayed. He pressed, turned, failed, laughed. Bowls collapsed, cups listed like small ships. Weeks later, something changed, not the clay, but Raphael. He began to listen with his fingertips. He learned when to nudge, when to leave the spinning form alone. The wheel isn't rushing, the nun would say. It is you who forgot how to wait. In the echo of that sentence, he recognized a larger truth. His years were not a cul-de-sac. They were a kiln. Warmth, patience, and attention could coax a new vessel from even the most humble lump. That is authorship. Not blame, never that, but responsibility of the gentlest kind. Life will toss rain without asking your permission. The Dharma simply returns. The question, will you shrink beneath the umbrella of habit or dance in what falls? The difference is not in the sky. It is in the stance of your heart. To create anew, you do not need a new century, only a new breath. The mind is a garden that does not remain undecided. Neglect plants something. If you do not sow compassion, the weeds of resentment volunteer. If you do not water curiosity, certainty hardens the soil. Each morning before the news finds, you ask, what seeds am I carrying in today's pocket? A single thought unwatched can undo a week of tenderness. A single breath aware can reroute a life. You might protest, I did not ask for illness. I did not choose betrayal. I did not build this loneliness. And you would be right about the storm's arrival. The practice lives in what follows. The teachings invite us to step from the witness stand into the studio. Pick up the chisel of attention. Meet the stone of habit with patient taps. Even granite yields to rhythm. Even an old wall reveals light when you remove one brick. Raphael did not become a different man. He became a more honest one. Clay taught him that force makes messes and warmth makes forms. He began to call his estranged sister. The first conversations were clumsy, shaped like his earliest bowls. He learned to say, "I'm listening," and mean it. He learned to set a cup down before it slipped to rise and open the window when grief fogged the panes. He said, "I thought retirement was a closing door. Turns out it was simply a room with a light I hadn't found yet." This is the architecture of later life: fewer rooms, truer lamps. Perhaps your masterpiece isn't the career framed on the wall, but the inner room you renovate now, where forgiveness sits without fidgeting, where gratitude has a chair with your name carved in the back, where peace stops feeling like a guest and starts acting like a resident. Creation at this stage is less about adding and more about clearing. Dust the shelf where old stories squat and glare. Sweep the floor where always and never track in mud. The Buddha did not ask us to become impressive. He asked us to become free. Non-self is not an argument against your worth. It is a key slipped quietly into your palm. See how the door opens when you no longer have to defend a mask. You wonder how to begin. Begin small. Before coffee, lay one kind thought across the threshold of your mind and step over it on purpose. While washing the plate, feel the warm water teach your fingers to soften. Write one sentence that doesn't try to be profound. Let it be honest. When the old memory knocks with its suitcase of blame, greet it like a distant cousin, offer tea, not a lease. When the inner critic raises its voice, bow once and return to your breath as if returning to a friend who kept a seat for you. The world has trained you to measure by outcome. The Dharma measures by intimacy. How closely are you keeping company with your own life? On afternoons when nothing dramatic happens, notice the miracle of an unremarkable peace. On evenings when sorrow visits, and it will notice the dignity of not exiling it. Emotions are not iron shackles, they are tides. Stand with a steady spine and watch their wisdom roll in. Your authority grows each time you choose to witness rather than wrestle. And when doubt arrives as sure as dusk, remember Raphael at the wheel, the nun's question humming like a mantra. Where will you place your hands when a new life needs shaping? Place them here on this hour. Place them here on this kindness. Place them here on this unglamorous, holy practice of staying. You are not late. You are just now fluent enough in silence to hear the invitation that was always waiting. Pick up the pen. Write the page that only a life like yours can write, not with grand gestures, but with the exactness of presence. Not to impress, but to become congruent with the truth already glowing beneath your ribs. And if you need a promise to carry into tomorrow, take this one from the heart of the path. What you attend to, you become. Attend to tenderness, and your voice will learn to cradle the world. Attend to wisdom, and your eyes will recognize doors where others see walls. Attend to the simple, and you will find that simplicity does not mean smallness, it means essence. The rest can fall away like old paint from a door that is finally ready to open. Step through. Let the light touch your face without apology. Let the years behind you become kind teachers instead of stern guards. Let your becoming be less of a performance and more of a homecoming. You are the architect, yes, but you are also the dwelling. Build with breath. Build with mercy. Build with the courage to be new again and again, until newness no longer feels like a risk, but like your natural way of moving through time. Emotions do not arrive to imprison you. They arrive to ferry you across. Think of them as weather on the inner sea mist that softens rain, that rinses thunder, that insists you pay attention. For most of us, we were trained to fear the forecast. "Don't be so sensitive," the chorus said. "Hold yourself together." And so we learned the art of the clenched jaw, the nod that says "I'm fine," the detour around anything that trembles. But the Buddha did not preach a life of emotional anesthesia. He offered a path of intimacy. In the Satipatthana feeling, Vedana is not a mistake to be corrected. It is a doorway to wisdom, a bell that rings inside the temple and asks, "Are you here?" Picture a bridge at dawn, mist lifting from the river, the first heron taking flight. Emotions are that bridge. They carry you from the small room of survival to the wider meadow of understanding. Only when we chain them, call sadness, weakness, call fear, failure, do we end up stranded on the bank, watching our own life unfold on the other side. Let me offer you a story, one stitched from the quiet cloth of ordinary days. Lila spent 41 years hemming dresses in a narrow shop that smelled of steam and chalk. Her hands knew how to turn a noisy fabric polite. When her husband died, the shop keys felt heavy. She retired, stacked the spools like little suns on a shelf, and told the neighbors she was moving on, moving where she never said. She kept busy enough to avoid the Brews morning television, a careful loop around the block soup for one. Then one winter, a flyer slipped under her door. Community song circle, no experience needed. She almost threw it away. Singing had belonged to a girl she remembered, but no longer trusted. The girl had a bright mouth and a mother who said, "Not so loud." On a gray Thursday, Lila went. The circle met in an old library room where the lights hummed a little. 12 strangers breathed together, awkward at first, as if trying on borrowed lungs. A facilitator with laugh lines invited them to place one hand on the chest, one on the belly, and notice the small weather moving under the skin. "Don't fix anything," she said. "Be a good host. Let what rises sit." A low note began, gentle as a kettle, and the room vibrated. Lila felt her throat, a locked room for years, click open. Memory flooded the smell of her husband's sweater after rain, her father's boots by the door, the way the shop mirror never quite told the truth. Tears came. She did not apologize. No one asked her to. The song moved through her like a bird who had been waiting for the window to be unlatched. On the walk home, the streetlights wore halos. She wasn't healed. She was accompanied. What changed for Lila wasn't the past. It was the posture of her heart toward the present. She stopped treating grief like a trespasser and started treating it like a relative who brings difficult gifts. Some days the gift was weight. She would sit and feel the stone of it in her hands, cool and honest. Other days, the gift was a letter she finally wrote to her younger self, the loud girl with the bright mouth telling her, "Sing, I will not hush you anymore." Emotions welcomed taught her fluent kindness. Emotions refused had only ever sharpened her loneliness. This is the pivot the Dharma invites from management to meeting. Mindfulness is not a leash for wild feelings. It is a lantern. When anger flares, the practice is to bow, not to kneel. "I see you," we say. What are you protecting? Often anger stands guard over a gentler creature hurt, worry the ache of not being chosen. When seen, the guard relaxes, the creature steps forward, and tenderness can finally do its work. Modern science, our practical cousin, nods in agreement. The nervous system writes down what we repeat. Gratitude becomes a groove the mind can find in the dark. Chronic dread becomes a hallway with too many footprints. The body cannot always tell whether the joy you feel is from a memory, a dream, or a practice. It only knows the chemistry of openness. To sit each morning and taste even for 60 seconds, the texture of peace is not pretending. It is training. You are showing the heart how to recognize home. Of course, some storms feel larger than any bridge can span. There are sorrows that roar tsunamis that lift the house from its foundation. On those days, spiritual bravado is a cruelty. The teaching is gentler, narrow your ask. Sometimes the bridge is only the next breath. Sometimes the practice is a palm on the sternum affirming existence. This is hard, and I am here. Sometimes the wisest move is to borrow a nervous system. Sit beside someone whose calm is honest. Let your tide learn their rhythm. Interbeing is not poetry. It is physiology. Practical ways to walk this path. First, vocabulary. Expand it. Sad is a blunt instrument. Hollow stung, tender bereft, adrift. Notice how specificity opens space. When you can name the weather, you remember that weather moves. Second, hospitality. Before bed, light a small candle or touch a favorite stone. Invite one emotion for tea. Ask it 3 questions. Where do you live in my body? What do you want me to know? What do you need to soften? Write down the answers without editing. Burn nothing. Banish nothing. Let the paper breathe near the open window. Third, rhythm. Anchor feeling to breath. Inhale, acknowledge this too. Exhale, allow, and I remain. Count 4 and 6 out. Lengthening the exhale tells your animal body the tiger is not in the room. Only then can you meet the memory of the tiger without running. Fourth, beauty. Beauty is a nervous system nutrient. Place something lovely within eyesight. A small plant, a photo where the light is honest, a bowl with 2 oranges and a moon of bruise. Teach your eyes to find mercy without permission. You may worry that if you open the gate, feelings will flood and you will drown. The paradox repression is the floodgate that fails. Presence is the levee that holds. Feelings metabolized become wisdom. Feelings stored become symptoms. The shoulder that will not unclench. The jaw that creaks like an old hinge. The stomach that reads a quiet room as alarm. When you befriend emotion, the body often exhales the messages it has been holding on your behalf. I think of Arun, a former engineer who came to meditation with spreadsheets and skepticism. Give me the steps, he said. I'll follow the protocol. Life generous complied. His anger rose like a heat mirage the 3rd morning of retreat. Instead of muscling it into stillness, he tried curiosity. He saw the ancestor of that anger, an old humiliation in a classroom, and the small boy inside who had learned that brilliance would protect him from being hurt again. He put a hand on his own back, the way a fair teacher would have. Later, he told me I always thought anger was a wall I needed thicker. It turned out to be a door I had never learned to open. He didn't become less fierce. He became less armored. His wife noticed before he did. So did his dog. What then do emotions want of us? Not obedience, not capitulation. Only audience, the kind that listens without hurrying the ending. In the absence of witness, pain performs. In the presence of witness, pain tells the truth and sits down. Notice too how emotion braided with meaning writes the story you live. I am always overlooked, repeated often enough, becomes a script the world seems to follow. Emotional literacy lets you revise. Today, I felt unseen in that conversation, and I chose to name my need. See the difference. The first sentence is a sentence. The second is a bridge. If you practice long enough, you'll discover a subtler mercy beneath every feeling. There is space. The mind screams forever. The breath proves not so. You can be the sky that lets the weather pass. This does not make you indifferent. It makes you vast. Compassion becomes possible when you stop confusing your current storm with your entire climate. Hold this close as we turn toward the next chapter. Emotions are guides, not jailers. They will carry you where the mind alone cannot go, to the room where the child still waits to be chosen, to the threshold where forgiveness stands with its suitcase open, to the wide field where joy does not apologize for arriving. Meet them, thank them, walk on. And if a familiar voice in you whispers the old line, "I am like this," because of what they did, we will meet that too with tenderness. There is a story we tell that keeps us small. There is another story waiting, one that does not erase the wound, but loosens its leash. The bridge you have stepped onto today leads there. Some stories we inherit, others we craft in the dark, thread by thread, until they feel like skin. Among the quietest and most persistent is the story of the victim, the tale that says, "Life happened to me, and I have no say." It begins as a shield, a way to make sense of pain too vast to face barehanded, but over time, that shield grows heavy, and the arm that holds it trembles. What once protected begins to confine. Buddhist psychology names this habit of the mind samsara, the circling, the repetition of a pattern mistaken for identity. When hurt goes unexamined, it digs a groove in consciousness, and soon we walk the same path without realizing it, calling it just how things are. But the Dharma, like a compassionate mirror, whispers, "You can set it down. You can walk another way." I once met a woman named Hannah who embodied this very turning. Her husband had left when she was 39, and she carried the echo of his absence for decades. "He took the best years of my life," she used to say. Every new friend heard that line eventually, every conversation, a rehearsal of the same wound. Her world shrank to the size of that sentence. When her daughter invited her to a meditation class, she went only to be polite. During a silent sitting, the teacher spoke softly. "Notice the story you tell when the silence becomes uncomfortable." Hannah closed her eyes and heard it, the same old refrain looping again. "He took the best years of my life." But then something curious happened. Another voice, quieter, asked, "And what about the years still breathing in me now?" That question cracked the pattern. Not dramatically, no lightning, no music, just a small light widening inside her chest. Later, over tea, she said, "For so long I thought my pain was my proof that I'd loved deeply. But maybe it was only proof that I'd stopped living." She didn't erase her past. She reframed it. She began tending a small garden behind her apartment, tomatoes, basil, a few stubborn orchids that refused to bloom. She told me the soil taught her what the years had. Not, you cannot rush a seed that is still learning the shape of the sun. You see, the story of the victim is rarely false. It's simply unfinished. Yes, life wounds us. People leave. Bodies fail. Dreams collapse under their own weight. The Buddha never denied suffering, he began there. But he also offered the path beyond it. Right view, the courage to see that even pain can be a teacher, that our suffering is not a verdict, but a curriculum. The moment we stop worshiping the injustice and start learning from it, the story changes authors. Let me share another parable. One not of monks, but of a fisherman named Koji. A storm took his boat, his nets, and his brother in one brutal night. For months, he sat on the shore staring at the horizon, convinced the sea had stolen his life. One morning, a child approached with a cracked bucket full of shells. "They're still shining," the boy said. Even after the storm, Koji looked down and saw it was true. The shells were smoother, their edges rounded by the very waves that had wrecked him. he took one home. That evening, instead of watching the empty water, he began stringing the shells into wind chimes. When the wind blew, they sang. He said later, "The sea didn't only take it reshaped. This is the heart of transformation, to let what broke you remake you into something that can sing in the wind." But the mind, oh how it loves to cling. They did this. I'll never recover. It's too late. Each thought another knot in the rope. And yet, there is mercy hidden even here. You do not have to untie the rope all at once. Just loosen one loop perhaps, by admitting I have suffered, yes, but I am more than my suffering. That simple truth is the first exhale of freedom. In the practice of mindfulness, we are invited to look deeply, not to deny what happened, but to understand our relationship to what happened. You can honor your wounds without letting them author your every chapter. You can hold the child within who was betrayed while teaching her that safety now looks different, not in others' hands, but in her own awareness. Compassion for the self is the scalpel that removes the splinter of identity. Many of us resist letting go because we mistake it for erasure. But letting go is not forgetting. It's remembering differently. It's choosing to carry the lesson, not the weight. The monk in the old story who carried a woman across the river had long since set her down, yet his companion kept carrying her in the mind. We do the same, dragging conversations that ended years ago, reliving betrayals that no longer exist, except in thought. Each time we replay, we rebuild the prison. Each time we release, we step outside and feel the air. Let's bring this into your own hands right now. Imagine the narrative you return to, most often the one that begins with, "If only." See it as a scroll you've read too many times. Gently roll it up. Don't burn it. Don't tear it. Simply place it on the shelf labeled past. Bow to it for what it taught you. Then open your palms and ask, what story wishes to be told through me now? You may hear nothing at first. Silence has its own pace, but trust that the new script is already being written in the quiet spaces you once filled with complaint. When Hannah finally forgave her husband, it wasn't because he apologized. He never did. She forgave because she wanted her heart back. I realized she said that holding on was like trying to breathe through a closed fist. And with that release, her laughter, delicate, unexpected, returned. She wasn't pretending the storm never came. She was simply no longer living inside it. That is liberation, not loud, not grand, often invisible to anyone but you. It arrives in the way your shoulders drop, the way your tone softens, the way the world seems a fraction lighter, though nothing external has changed. It is the shift from why me to why not begin again. To transcend the victim story is to reclaim authorship. It is to stand in the middle of your own life, brush the dust from your palms, and say, yes, this happened, and now this is what I choose. From that moment on, every breath becomes an act of rebellion against the past's gravity. And here is the secret. The Buddha smiled about the freedom you seek is already humming beneath your suffering. When you stop arguing with what was, you hear it. When you stop identifying with pain, you remember your boundless nature, vast, unoffended, awake. So let the story rest. Let the heart breathe. Let forgiveness, that quiet architect of peace, rebuild the house from within. And when you walk outside tomorrow and feel the wind graze your cheek, recognize it for what it is, the world meeting you, halfway whispering, welcome back, storyteller. The page is blank again. There is a saying etched in the Dhammapada, like a mirror to our minds. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. For most of our lives, we repeat it as if it were poetry, a gentle mantra to recite in peaceful moments. But when truly seen, those words are not gentle, they are seismic. They suggest that our outer world is the echo of our inner world, that every gesture, tone, and choice arises from the quiet workshop of the mind. The Buddha did not speak of this to frighten us, but to return power where it belongs. Not in circumstance, not in fate, not even in age, but in awareness. To understand this, imagine your life as a great painting. You stand before it, brush in hand, watching shapes form across the canvas. Some strokes you recognize love, grief, the slow fading of youth. Others seem to appear without your touch, illness, loss, injustice. And yet even then, the palette remains in your grasp. You can choose how to blend, how to shade, how to begin again. The past may have laid the background, but the mind, this living, breathing, luminous field, continues to paint over and within it. You are both artist and art, both the river and the current that shapes it. Let me tell you of Jonah, a retired teacher from a small coastal town. For 40 years, he carried a quiet belief that kindness was weakness. His father had taught him that lesson in silence, never hugging, never weeping, always saying, "Be strong." Jonah became strong, the kind of strong that builds walls and calls them homes. When his wife passed the silence inside, those walls became unbearable. One morning, unable to fill the emptiness, he found himself walking to a meditation center nearby. He didn't know why. He just needed somewhere the silence was shared. The teacher, an old nun with eyes like warm sand, asked the group a single question. What is one belief you've carried so long that it no longer feels like a belief, but like the truth? Jonah wrote, "Kindness is weakness." The nun nodded gently and said, "Then your work is to prove yourself wrong softly." That evening, he went home and fed a stray cat that had been visiting his porch for weeks. The cat purred, rubbed its head against his ankle, and for a moment, he felt something shift, not in thought, but in breath. That night, he wrote in his journal, "Perhaps kindness is strength in disguise." Weeks became months. Jonah began to volunteer at a small library helping children with their homework. His laughter, once cautious, returned rusty, but real. One day, a little girl asked him, "Mr. Jonah, why are your eyes shiny?" He smiled, realizing they were full of tears. "Because I'm happy," he said. It had been years since he had said those words and meant them. The Buddha taught that the mind can be trained as surely as any hand. Jonah was training his heart stroke by stroke to remember its original rhythm. This is bhavana, the cultivation of mind. Just as a gardener tends the soil, pulling weeds and watering seedlings, we tend the landscape of thought. The Buddha never promised immediate bloom. He spoke instead of patience, of steady cultivation of understanding, that every moment of awareness is a seed. Some sprout quickly, peace, forgiveness. Others take time, deep roots beneath the surface. But every moment you choose consciousness over habit, you change the soil of your being. You alter your karma, not by wishing, but by watching. You might think, but my mind is stubborn. It's been this way for decades. Yes, the forest of thought is dense, but every step of awareness clears a new path. You do not need to burn the old one. You only need to stop walking it. Each time you catch a thought rooted in fear, "I am too late, I am not enough, I am unworthy," and replace it with gentleness, "I am learning, I am breathing, I am becoming," you change the geography of your heart. One evening during retreat, a young man asked the nun, "How do I know if I'm changing? I still get angry. I still worry." She smiled, lighting a candle between them. Do you notice the anger now? Yes. Then that's change, she said. The fire no longer burns unchecked. It flickers in awareness. To be aware of thought is already to begin transforming it. The untrained mind is like a wild horse running through a village, trampling everything in sight. The trained mind is not tamed into submission. It is taught to gallop toward light. Perhaps this is what aging at its most sacred is meant to reveal, not decline, but refinement. Youth seeks identity. Maturity seeks freedom from it. The older mind, if tended, becomes spacious like a clear sky. Emotions come and go like weather, but the sky remains unhurt. In this vastness, wisdom ripens. And what is wisdom, if not the ability to choose your next thought as carefully as a sculptor chooses where to chisel? Here's a small practice, one that turns thought into prayer. Each morning before the rush of noise, sit quietly and ask, what is one quality I wish to cultivate today? Write it down. Perhaps it is patience or courage or equanimity. Keep it near. When difficulty arrives, and it will whisper it back to yourself. This is not positive thinking. It is intentional becoming. You are teaching your neurons the language of liberation. Modern neuroscience now nods in reverence at what the Buddha said. 2,500 years ago, the brain rewires according to attention. What you dwell on, you become. If you linger in resentment, resentment grows dendrites. If you linger in compassion, compassion grows pathways. Every thought is a brushstroke shaping the mural of your life. So guard your palette with tenderness. Paint with presence. Jonah once told me years after that first retreat, the cat died, the children grew up, and my hair went white. But when I close my eyes, I still hear the sound of that purr, the sound of something soft that refused to die in me. I smiled. That softness was his Buddha nature, awakening the mind, remembering its original kindness. No thunder, no glory, just a man sitting by the window, no longer afraid of gentleness. You see, character is not fixed, it is rehearsed. The world you walk through will mirror back the tone you think in. Speak kindly to yourself, and your reflection will bow. Think with compassion, and the faces around you will soften. This is not mysticism, it is resonance. As within, so without. And so, if you wish to change your world, begin not with the seasons, but with the sentence that rises before dawn. Let it be one of love. Let it be one of courage. Let it remind you that the architect's blueprint is not outside you. It is the quiet intention pulsing behind every thought. Build from there, and your outer life will follow, as surely as the lotus follows the sun. Somewhere along the long road of life, we were told to choose who we are, and then never stray from it. We were told identity is a promise, not a poem. Be this. Stay this. Do not confuse the world by changing. Yet all of existence is a symphony of change. The tides, the clouds, even the breath you are taking right now. So why should the soul be asked to stay still? To become you must first dare to transcend the person you once were. In Buddhist thought, transformation is not an act of improvement. It is an act of remembrance. Enlightenment is not the construction of a new self, but the peeling away of what was never truly you. The masks, the habits, the anxieties, the endless need to be seen, all these are layers, not essence. The Dharma invites us to let them fall one by one until what remains is simply awareness, vast, luminous, free. There is a story of May, a woman who spent decades as a corporate executive commanding boardrooms and flights, always surrounded by noise. When she retired, she confessed to a friend, "Without my title, I feel invisible. The friend smiled and said, "Perhaps invisibility is what your soul has been asking for to stop being a performance." One morning, May sat by her garden pond, where the water lilies opened and closed without witness. She began to see herself mirrored in that quiet rhythm. No longer the achiever, the daughter, the boss, just presence breathing in a body. At first, it frightened her. She mistook the absence of identity for emptiness. But slowly, she realized it was spaciousness. The pond reflected back not what she owned or achieved, but what she always was: clear water, capable of holding sky. That was the beginning of transcendence, not the escape from life, but the rediscovery of it, without masks. You see, transcendence is not climbing to the heavens. It is descending fully into truth. The ego whispers that safety lies in control, but the Dharma teaches that control is the very thing that keeps us bound. The moment we loosen our grip even slightly, we feel the first breeze of freedom. A Zen saying captures this beautifully: let go or be dragged. To let go is not weakness. It is trust, the trust that beneath the turbulence of change, there is an ocean of stillness that never leaves you. When you cling to the identity that once saved you, the responsible one, the strong one, the caretaker, you unknowingly build a golden cage. The doors are open, but habit convinces you to stay inside. Transcendence is the act of stepping out barefoot into the unknown light. It may feel like loss, but it is only shedding. Even trees let go of their leaves before they bloom again. A young monk once asked his teacher, "How will I know I am growing?" The master replied, "When what once defined you begins to feel too small." Growth always feels at first like breaking. The cocoon must crack for the wings to appear. May, over time, began to volunteer at a children's hospice. She read stories to the little ones, simple tales of kindness and courage. One afternoon, a child touched her wrinkled hand and asked, "Are you afraid of dying?" May smiled, realizing she no longer was. "No," she said, "I am learning how to live without clinging." That night, she wrote in her journal, "I have not become someone new. I have remembered who I was before the noise began." This is anatta, the Buddhist teaching of non-self. It does not say we are nothing. It says we are not a fixed thing. We are the space between inhale and exhale, between what was and what might be. When you see this clearly, the weight of identity softens. You stop defending the idea of yourself and start living the experience of being. The irony is that the more you transcend identity, the more authentic you become. Without the burden of image, love flows more naturally. Without the constant maintenance of ego, joy arrives quietly and stays longer. You laugh more easily, weep more honestly, and listen without rehearsing what to say next. This is the fragrance of awakening. It smells of simplicity. But transcendence is not tidy. The moment you shed an old skin, the air stings. You may feel naked, uncertain, raw. The mind will try to retreat to the familiar whispering, "Go back. Be who you were." When that happens, pause. Breathe. Remember that even a lotus must first rise through the mud. Here's a practice each evening before sleep. Ask yourself, what did I cling to today that I can release tomorrow? It might be a label, "I am always right." It might be a fear, "I cannot start again." Write it down. Whisper it into the night like a leaf offered to the wind. When you wake, notice how light you feel. Even a single release alters the shape of your mind. Transcendence does not mean abandoning the world. It means meeting it unarmored. When you no longer hide behind who you were, you begin to truly see who others are. Compassion deepens because you recognize yourself in every pair of eyes. The wall between me and you grows thin until it becomes transparent. Then finally, life stops being a competition and becomes a conversation. To transcend is to participate fully, to weep without apology, to celebrate without grasping to live as if every moment were both first and last. It is to walk through change with the tenderness of one who knows nothing is lost. Everything transforms. So if lately you feel like a stranger to yourself, take heart. It is not failure, it is unfolding. The spirit outgrows its old shells quietly. One day you look back and realize that every confusion, every shedding was grace in disguise, sculpting you into someone wide enough to hold both sorrow and wonder. And when that realization dawns, when you finally stop trying to be someone and simply allow yourself to be, you will taste the simplest truth the Buddha ever spoke. Nirvana is not elsewhere. It is the end of grasping. Let go, dear one. Let what is falling fall. What remains will not abandon you. It is your original self, spacious, unbound, and infinitely alive. At first, the phrase sounds like a riddle. Remembering the future. How can one recall what has not yet happened? How can the heart recognize a moment that still lies ahead? And yet this paradox is at the heart of both Buddhist practice and the mystery of becoming. To remember the future is not to predict events. It is to embody a way of being before the evidence appears. It is to live as though peace were already your native language, as though freedom were not something to chase, but something to recall. The Buddha once said, "What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create." This is not superstition. It is deep psychology, the wisdom of the mind as maker. Whatever you consistently dwell upon becomes the architecture of your world. When we suffer, it is often because we keep visiting the past, rehearsing its shadows. Remembering the future asks us to reverse the habit, to practice meeting the life we wish to live as if it were already here. Picture this. A woman named Clara sits each morning before dawn, her cup of tea steaming beside her, the world still dark. She closes her eyes and imagines her future self not younger, not wealthier, but lighter. In this vision, her shoulders no longer curve under invisible weights. She walks slowly, breathes fully, smiles without strategy. Clara does not beg the image to arrive. She simply breathes it into her body. She feels what it would be like to live from that ease. Day after day, she repeats this small ritual, and without noticing, her life begins to tilt toward that frequency. She starts moving differently, speaking differently, forgiving differently. The future she remembered begins to remember her back. This is how the Dharma works, not by forcing, but by aligning. When your heart and mind vibrate in harmony with the peace you seek, the outer world slowly learns its rhythm. Science, too, now echoes this: neurons that fire together, wire together. Imagination, when imbued with feeling, becomes rehearsal, and rehearsal becomes reality. The brain, innocent and loyal, believes what you feel more than what you think. But this is not a game of fantasy. It is not the mind demanding rewards from the universe. It is an act of faith that your inner state is the soil from which all else grows. To remember the future is to become a gardener of possibility. Each thought of kindness waters its seed. Each moment of gratitude loosens the soil. Each act of patience removes a stone from the path of your own awakening. When we were young, we dreamed easily, not because the world was kinder then, but because our hearts were still fluid. As the years layer on our dreams harden into memory, and memory becomes a cage. But Buddhist practice invites us to soften again, to let imagination become a sacred tool. Not to escape the present, but to sanctify it. To sit and breathe into the vision of your most awake self is to practice liberation in real time. You are showing the body what wholeness feels like, so it can learn its way home. I once met a man named Tenzin at a small monastery near Kyoto. He had been a monk for 40 years, living simply sweeping the temple floors, chanting at dawn. When I asked him what his practice was now, he smiled and said, "I practice remembering who I am becoming." I asked, "And who is that?" He closed his eyes for a long while, then whispered, "Someone who can love without condition." He said he had not yet reached that shore, but each day in meditation, he imagined the feeling of it, the stillness of a heart with no walls. "If I can feel it," he said, "I am already walking toward it." That is remembering the future, feeling the destination until it begins to live in your cells. The practice transforms the anxious striving of the mind into a tender curiosity. What would it feel like to already be at peace? What would my breath sound like if I were free? Try this. Find a quiet corner, perhaps by a window or beneath a tree. Sit, close your eyes, and call forth an image of your future self. Not the one who has more, but the one who is more awake. See the lines of the face softened by compassion, the eyes steady with acceptance. Ask, how does this self breathe? How does this self speak? What does this self forgive? Let the answers come not as words, but as sensations. Let your body rehearse the frequency of awakening. The future is not a point ahead of you on a timeline. It is a state waiting to be inhabited. Every moment you align with that energy, you dissolve the illusion of distance. Past, present, and future are not separate rooms. They are one vast house, and the light of awareness moves through them freely. When you remember peace now, you heal the past and shape the future simultaneously. Clara, months after beginning her morning ritual, wrote in her journal, "I no longer wait for the day my heart feels whole. Some mornings it already does." She realized that her longing itself was sacred, that what she sought was not out there, but awakening within her. This is the secret. We do not manifest what we want. We manifest what we are ready to feel. The mind, when trained, becomes a bridge between what is and what can be. But beware, it is not about chasing eternal positivity. The Buddha never denied sorrow. He simply taught us to hold sorrow in such a way that it ripens into wisdom. To remember the future is to hold a vision not as a demand, but as a devotion. You live toward it with gentle persistence, trusting that the unseen world responds to sincerity. When fear whispers, "It's too late," answer softly, "Not for the soul." The body ages, but consciousness renews with every breath. You can always begin again from this inhale, this exhale, this heartbeat. The door to the future does not stand in tomorrow. It stands in your awareness now. So breathe deeply. Picture yourself already whole. Picture the weight sliding off your shoulders, the light returning to your gaze. Let the joy of that image be enough, even if nothing around you changes. For what you feel sincerely will begin to find its reflection in form. Remember, the universe is listening not to your words, but to your vibration. When your heart beats in harmony with the truth of who you are, becoming reality itself bends toward your becoming. And so, as you close your eyes tonight, whisper this prayer to the space between worlds. May I remember the peace that is already mine. May I remember the love that has not yet been forgotten. May I remember the future as something already blooming inside me. Because once you remember it deeply enough, the future no longer waits. It arrives quietly, like dawn through an open window. There is a quiet truth hidden beneath all of life's noise. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the invitation. In a culture that sells comfort as salvation, this truth feels almost rebellious. We are told to chase ease, to cushion every edge, to silence every ache. But the Dharma teaches something far more courageous, dukkha. The tension, the unease, the friction of being alive is not a flaw in existence. It is the teacher itself. It is the pulse that reminds us we are still growing. Consider the seed. Before it becomes a tree, it must crack open. That moment, dark, splitting, uncertain, is not failure. It is transformation disguised as pain. So too, every human life must break a little for light to enter. Once a man named Samuel came to a monastery seeking peace. "I just want this restlessness to stop," he said. The teacher, an elderly monk with hands as weathered as driftwood, nodded and handed him a smooth river stone. "Hold this," he said. Samuel obeyed. Minutes passed. His hand began to ache. "It's heavy," he complained. "Put it down, then," the monk replied. Samuel frowned. "You told me to hold it." The monk smiled. "And now I tell you to release it." Notice the pain was not in the stone, it was in the holding. That lesson became Samuel's meditation for the next year. Each time discomfort arose, boredom, irritation, sadness, he would ask, "What am I holding?" Slowly, he learned that pain often hides the resistance to what is not the thing itself. When we stop pushing life away, suffering softens into sensation, and sensation becomes insight. Discomfort, when met with awareness, becomes sacred fire. It burns away illusion, purifies attachment, and forges resilience. This is why the Buddha called dukkha the first noble truth, not to depress us, but to wake us. To deny discomfort is to deny the path to wisdom. Think of the lotus. It cannot bloom without mud. The deeper the muck, the stronger the stem. In the same way, your struggles are not proof of failure, but the raw material of awakening. The question is never, how do I avoid pain? But rather, how do I meet it with presence? Here is a small story that carries this truth. A woman named Rosa, in her late 60s, came to her first silent retreat with a heavy heart. Her husband had died 2 years prior, and though time had moved on, she had not. Every night she replayed the moment of his last breath, the hospital lights, the unfinished words. During meditation, she could barely sit still. Grief clawed at her chest. The teacher noticed and said, "What if instead of pushing the ache away, you bowed to it?" That evening, Rosa did just that. She placed her palms together, bowed her head and whispered, "I see you, sorrow." For the first time, she did not try to fix it, justify it, or analyze it. She just sat with it like a companion. The next morning, her face looked softer, her breath deeper. She said, "I thought I had to let go of the pain. But maybe the pain just needed me to stop abandoning it." That is the paradox of discomfort. When we resist it, it multiplies. When we embrace it, it transforms. The ache itself does not vanish, but its nature changes from a wound to a window. Through that window, compassion enters. In Buddhist practice, discomfort is often a signal that something within us is waking. The legs hurt in meditation because the mind is impatient. The heart aches in stillness because it's thawing. Every tremor of unease is a doorway to a deeper self. We only need the courage to walk through. There's a story told of the Buddha's enlightenment night. As he sat beneath the Bodhi tree, Mara, the embodiment of fear and desire, came with his armies. They hurled weapons, temptations, storms. But each time the Buddha did not fight. He simply touched the earth and said, "I see you." The weapons turned to petals. The armies dissolved. His calm did not banish discomfort, it transmuted it. We can do the same in our own small ways. When anger rises instead of striking touch, the earth literally or inwardly, say, I see you. When fear curls in your belly, place a hand there, breathe, and whisper, you belong. This is not passivity. It is mastery of the heart. Modern life has trained us to flee discomfort immediately through distraction, entertainment, or denial. But each escape makes the next encounter sharper. The Buddha's invitation is different. Stay a little longer. Breathe one more breath into the tension. Feel the body's instinct to run and instead soften. The moment you stay even for a second, the mind's grip loosens. The storm begins to speak. Ask your discomfort, what are you trying to teach me? Often it will answer. Patience, humility, forgiveness, courage. These are lessons no comfort ever taught. Thomas, a friend and student, once told me he'd spent years avoiding his anger. It's ugly, he said. It scares people. But when he finally sat with it during a long retreat, he realized anger was not his enemy. It was his grief's bodyguard. Beneath its heat was sorrow, and beneath that sorrow was love. I was angry, he said, because I cared so much. That realization broke him open not in destruction, but in clarity. Pain is often love seeking a voice, and when you let it speak, it becomes devotion. So the next time discomfort knocks, do not barricade the door. Invite it in, offer tea, listen. Let it show you where you still cling, where you still hide. When you can sit with it without judgment, you will discover that the heart, once afraid of breaking, is in fact unbreakable. It expands endlessly to contain whatever it once feared. Every saint, every teacher, every awakened being has walked through this same fire. None escaped it. All were refined by it. The caterpillar does not argue with the cocoon. It surrenders, trusting that what feels like ending is only reshaping. You are in this very moment being reshaped. The unease, the uncertainty, the ache, they are not punishments. They are sculptors. They are the hands of life molding you into someone spacious enough to hold both joy and sorrow with equal grace. So when the heart trembles, do not ask for the trembling to stop. Ask for the wisdom to feel it fully. Ask for the patience to stay until it teaches you its name, for on the other side of discomfort lies not relief, but revelation, the quiet knowing that everything, even pain, is part of the path home. And when you rise from that fire, gentler yet stronger, you will see what the Buddha saw, that the crack was never the end of you. It was the place where the light entered. In a world intoxicated by numbers, we are taught that value lives in accumulation. The bigger house, the larger account, the longer resume. Yet deep down, even the wealthiest among us sense an unspoken truth. There are hungers that gold cannot feed. The Buddha saw this clearly when he left his palace. He was not rejecting the material world. He was seeking the currency that cannot be lost, the wealth of the heart. True wealth begins where ownership ends. It is not measured in what we keep, but in what flows through us. When the river stops moving, it stagnates. When generosity stops flowing, the soul grows stale. The Buddhist word dana giving is not just charity. It is the natural rhythm of life itself. The breath gives and receives, the tree gives shade, the earth gives harvest. To give is to participate in the balance of all things. I once met an old man named Min who embodied this quiet abundance. He lived alone in a small mountain village, his home built from weathered wood and kindness. Every morning he placed a bowl of rice outside for the stray dogs. When I asked why, he smiled, because they remind me that nothing alive should have to beg for compassion. His eyes, wrinkled and bright, held a joy untouched by circumstance. One winter, a storm washed away part of his roof. The neighbors gathered to help rebuild, and someone asked Min, "Aren't you afraid to lose everything?" He laughed softly. "How can you lose what you've already given away?" That is the paradox of spiritual wealth. The more you release, the more you receive, not in things, but in freedom. The unclenched hand always feels lighter. The modern world teaches the opposite: to protect, to possess, to hoard for safety. But hoarding is another name for fear. Fear of not enough, fear of loss, fear of dependence. The Dharma dissolves that fear by revealing that nothing truly belongs to us, not even this body. Life is a continual exchange. We breathe in what the trees exhale, and they breathe in what we release. Even our heartbeat is borrowed rhythm. To realize this is not depressing, it is liberating. You can stop clinging. You can start flowing. Generosity in its purest form is not about wealth, it's about intimacy. It is the willingness to let the boundary between mine and yours soften until it becomes ours. It can be as small as a patient ear, as simple as a sincere thank you, as profound as forgiveness. Each act of giving reweaves the fabric of the world, one thread of compassion at a time. There's a story told of Anjali, a retired nurse who lived modestly on her pension. She could not donate large sums, but she gave time reading to the blind, comforting the lonely, writing letters for the dying. When I asked her how she sustained such generosity, she said, "Because it sustains me. When I stop giving, I start shrinking." One day, she met a young woman at the hospice who feared dying alone. Anjali held her hand through the night. "I don't have family," the girl whispered. Anjali smiled gently. "Then tonight you have me." The girl passed at dawn, her face calm. Later, Anjali said quietly, "That night, I realized wealth is not what fills the bank, it's what fills the room. That kind of wealth multiplies with use. Compassion never runs out. Love given does not diminish, it doubles. The currency of the heart is infinite because it circulates through the boundless network of being. To cultivate such wealth, begin where you are. Ask each morning, "What can I offer today?" Maybe it's patience in traffic, or gratitude toward your own aging body, or a small kindness to a stranger who may never know your name. Do not underestimate small offerings. The universe notices every movement of sincerity. In Buddhist cosmology, the act of giving is said to purify the mind because it unknots the tight fist of ego. The moment you release what you cling to, you see clearly that abundance was never out there. It was always the spaciousness within you. The miser lives surrounded by gold, yet starves for meaning. The generous live surrounded by impermanence, yet feast on connection. Min once said, "The happiest people I've known are not the ones who had the most, but the ones who forgot to count." He spent his last years planting fruit trees along the village path, knowing he would not live to see them bear fruit. "They are not for me," he laughed. "They are for the children who will one day walk under their shade." That too is wealth, to leave behind ripples of goodness you may never witness. To give without audience, without reward, simply because the act itself feels like breathing. Perhaps the question to carry with you is not, "What do I own?" but "What moves through me?" Do kindness and understanding flow easily, or do they clog behind pride and fear? If so, breathe. Loosen. Let the heart unclench. What you release becomes the wind that carries you forward. And when you wake tomorrow, Look around at the sunlight spilling freely at the bird that sings without charging a fee at the cup of water that asks nothing to refresh you. Notice how reality itself is built on generosity. The universe gives itself away every moment. You are part of that generosity, not separate from it. So live like the river full, not because it hoards, but because it flows. Live like the flame bright, not because it keeps its light, but because it offers it. Live like the tree abundant, not because it owns its fruit, but because it shares its shade. And then, when your final day arrives, may you look back, not at what you've gathered, but at what you've given, and see that in giving you owned the only thing that ever mattered, a heart spacious enough to hold the world. That is the truest wealth. That is the only inheritance worth leaving behind. There comes a moment in every life, quiet, unadvertised, when we realize that the body and the heart are not separate worlds. The aches in our shoulders, the heaviness in our chest, the restlessness in our sleep, they are not random visitors. They are the body's faithful translations of what the heart has not yet said aloud. Modern medicine speaks of nerves and chemicals. The Dharma speaks of energy and mind. Both are correct. Both point to the same truth. What the heart resists, the body remembers. Healing, then, is not only physical, it is the art of listening to the stories our cells are still telling. Let me share with you the story of Robert, a former soldier who carried more than scars on his skin. For decades after the war, he lived with a tightness in his chest that no doctor could explain. "It's like breathing through glass," he said. He tried everything: pills, diets, distractions, but the ache persisted, quiet and loyal. One day, his daughter, a yoga teacher, convinced him to attend a mindfulness retreat. "I don't believe in incense and chanting," he grumbled, but he went anyway. On the second evening, during a guided meditation on compassion, something shifted. The teacher asked everyone to imagine holding themselves the way they would hold a frightened child. Robert's jaw clenched, his heart pounded, then suddenly a sob tore through him. Memories surfaced, the faces of young men, lost the guilt of having survived. The tears came like a storm that had been waiting 40 years to fall. He didn't analyze, didn't resist, he just wept. When the storm passed, he whispered, "It's the first full breath I've taken since 1969. The pain did not vanish overnight, but it changed shape. It became honest. It began to move. Over the next months, his chest loosened, his sleep deepened, his laughter returned. It's like my heart learned how to breathe again," he said. That was not miracle. It was mindfulness doing its quiet work. The Buddha taught that the mind and body are two instruments playing one melody. When one falls out of tune, the other strains to compensate. If we silence grief, the body hums it through tension. If we bury anger, it festers into fatigue. Healing begins the moment we stop treating the body as an enemy to fix and start treating it as a messenger to listen to. Place your hand on your heart now. Feel the pulse beneath your palm. That rhythm is older than your thoughts, older than your name. It has never missed a beat, trying to keep you alive, even when your mind wished to give up. That loyalty deserves reverence. Each heartbeat whispers, "I'm still here. Let me be heard." When you breathe mindfully, not to control, but to be with you, are telling the body, "You are safe now." The nervous system, that vigilant guardian, slowly learns it no longer needs to brace for attack. Muscles soften. The heart rate steadies. The mind, sensing safety, begins to release what it has hoarded. This is why meditation can feel like unraveling, not because you're breaking down, but because you're finally letting go. In Buddhist medicine, illness is often seen not as punishment, but as conversation, the body speaking what the spirit has muted. Headaches can be unspoken anger. Stomach pain can be swallowed fear. Fatigue can be grief too long denied. To heal is not to silence these voices, but to translate them with compassion. Ask, "What are you trying to tell me?" And then listen as though your life depends on it, because in a way, it does. Healing the heart does not mean forcing positivity. It means allowing honesty. Sometimes the most healing act is simply to cry, not out of despair, but out of release. Tears are how the soul bathes itself. There was once a woman named Thao, widowed in her early 50s. She came to every Dharma talk, but never spoke. One evening during walking meditation, she stopped and pressed her hand to her stomach, whispering, "I feel him here." Her husband had been gone 5 years, yet the pain lived in her belly like a stone. The teacher approached and said gently, "Then breathe kindness to that place. Say to it, 'You can rest now.'" She did, breath by breath, night after night. Months later, she came back smiling, not because grief had left, but because it had transformed. "It's softer now," she said. "It doesn't hurt to remember." This is what healing looks like, not erasing pain, but integrating it until it no longer feels foreign. When love and loss can coexist in the same breath, the body finally relaxes into truth. Science, once skeptical, now nods in agreement. Studies show that compassion meditation lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and strengthens immunity. But beyond statistics, the deeper healing is this awareness reclaims the places we abandoned. When we come home to our own hearts, the body follows. So when your back aches, when your breath tightens, when your chest feels heavy, pause. Instead of rushing for distraction, place your attention there. Breathe into the sensation. Whisper, "What do you need me to know?" Perhaps it will say, "Rest." Perhaps forgive. Perhaps nothing at all, just a sigh, a soft unwinding. Each act of gentle awareness is medicine. The breath becomes the healer, the heart becomes the patient, and the body long ignored finally exalts in being seen. Remember, the body is not betraying you. It is begging you to listen. When you respond with kindness, healing begins not as an event, but as a relationship moment by moment, breath by breath. And when that happens, when heart and body learn again to move as one, life feels lighter. Even pain becomes less frightening, because now, instead of fighting it, you understand it. It is simply another form of love knocking to be let in. So tonight, before you sleep, place a hand over your chest and whisper, "Thank you for carrying me." Whisper it again until your body believes you. For gratitude is the final medicine. It reminds every cell that it belongs, that it is loved, that healing has already begun. When the heart is healed, the body remembers how to follow. When the body rests, the soul finally feels at home. There is a teaching woven softly through the Dharma one that is less about words and more about presence. We teach most powerfully, not by what we say, but by who we are. The Buddha never demanded belief. He lived truth so completely that truth itself became contagious. In his stillness, others remembered their own. In his compassion, others saw what their hearts had always known. We forget this sometimes, that we are all transmitters. Our lives are silent sermons, our gestures sacred texts. The way we listen, the way we breathe, the way we meet difficulty. These are lessons constantly being read by everyone around us. Even when we think no one is watching, the universe is learning from our vibration. Once there was a grandmother named Nien known in her village for her calm. Her house was small, her income modest, but her peace was vast. Children played freely in her yard. Neighbors came when their hearts were heavy. One day, her grandson asked Grandma, "How do you stay calm when people shout?" She smiled, handing him a cup of tea. "Watch the tea leaves," she said. He stared into the cup as the leaves slowly sank to the bottom. "The leaves are my anger," she said. "If I stir, they rise and make the water cloudy. But if I stay still, they settle. Then I can see clearly again." Years later, after Nien passed, her grandson told that story to his own child. In that moment, her teaching lived again, not because she wrote it down, but because she embodied it. This is the ripple of being. We imagine our influence fades with age, but the truth is the opposite. Age deepens our resonance. The young look to us not for perfection, but for authenticity, to see how a heart survives the storms of living. Every sigh, every laugh line, every scar is an instruction in resilience. To live mindfully, then, is to model liberation. When we pause before reacting, we show that impulse need not be destiny. When we forgive, we teach that love can outlast injury. When we sit in silence without needing to fix, we demonstrate trust in the moment's intelligence. The people near us, our partners, our children, even strangers absorb this more deeply than any advice. You might think I am not a teacher, but you are. Every time you enter a room, you shift its weather. If your energy is frantic, others tense. If your heart is steady, others breathe more freely. This is not mystical. It is biological. The rhythm of one nervous system influencing another. What we call presence is simply coherence, a harmony that calms everything it touches. A man named Ethan once told me, "I used to preach peace to my son while living in constant anger." He never listened. Then I started meditating. Months later, he said, "Dad, you don't yell anymore." That was the first time he believed me. Ethan hadn't taught with words. He had taught with his nervous system. The Buddha said, "If you light a lamp for someone, it will also brighten your own path." This is the principle of transmission. Every act of mindfulness, every breath taken in awareness, becomes a small light. And light by its nature does not choose where to shine. It touches everyone nearby. So the question arises, what am I modeling? What am I multiplying? If you embody anxiety, you spread anxiety. If you embody judgment, you seed separation. But if you embody compassion, not as performance, but as presence, you multiply safety, trust, and belonging in every direction. To practice this consciously, start small. When you speak to a cashier, meet their eyes with genuine warmth. When your child or partner complains, resist the urge to correct. Simply listen until they soften. When you feel irritation rise, pause and breathe 3 times before responding. These are not trivial gestures. They are quiet revolutions. Each moment of awareness interrupts a cycle of unconsciousness that might have echoed for generations. In Buddhist symbolism, the Bodhisattva is the one who vows to awaken, not for themselves alone, but for all beings. You do not need robes or vows to live this way. Every time you choose kindness over indifference, patience over control, truth over pretense, you walk the Bodhisattva path. Your life becomes a bridge others can cross toward peace. There is an old saying, when a wise person enters a village, even the dogs stop barking. What it means is that presence itself teaches, the air changes, the invisible becomes breathable. You have that same power. Every one of us does. We cannot control how others live, but we can embody what liberation feels like. we can show through our steadiness, our humor, our humility, that awakening is not a distant miracle, but an everyday choice. Each time we return to the breath, instead of the argument, we are quietly instructing the world, peace is possible. And remember, your influence does not end at your skin. Every kind thought, every loving gesture ripples outward in ways unseen. A smile exchanged with a stranger can travel further than any sermon. A single act of forgiveness can untie a knot that generations failed to loosen. This is karma, not as punishment, but as echo, the universe reflecting your vibration back through time. So live as if every moment were a seed, so calm, so understanding, so gentleness. The harvest will grow in places you may never see. When you feel invisible, remember Nian's tea leaves, her calm now living in countless hearts. When you doubt your significance, recall that light doesn't ask permission to shine. You are the lamp, the teacher, the lineage of compassion made flesh. And when your time on earth is done, may those who've met you walk a little softer, speak a little kinder, and breathe a little deeper, not because you told them to, but because you showed them how. That is the quiet miracle of embodiment. You become the Dharma itself, a living scripture, a moving prayer. And that, dear listener, is the journey's gentle truth you are already becoming. Not through striving, but through remembering. Not through addition, but through presence. You are the lesson. You are the lamp. You are the continuation of every soul that ever chose awareness over sleep. So walk gently, speak truthfully, breathe deeply, for in every step you take, the world is learning how to be free.